Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of the Inside of Equinoxe Television. I am Babla Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we are taking a look and analyzing the problem of inadequate electric energy supply in Cameroon. And this is a problem affecting the nation from the hinterlands to the major cities. There is a big problem of inadequate electric energy supply in the Republic of Cameroon, and this problem is provoking social tensions all over the place, in the major cities, in the hinterlands, in the rural areas. People are groaning about the problem, over the problem of inadequate electric energy supply. There are several parts of the Republic of Cameroon that have gone for years without electricity. In some areas, electricity has never existed. A case in point in this edition of The Inside is the recent protest in several parts of the southwest region of the country, where inhabitants took to the streets in Mutengene, in several parts of the regional capital, Buea, protesting over inadequate or poor electric energy supply. Meet our guest in some few seconds. We talked to two personalities in the southwest region of the country. First, the member of Cameroon's Upper House of Parliament, Senator MBELLA, who is a resident in the town of Buea. And we went discussing, having a conversation over this issue of inadequate electric energy supply, which has become now qualified, or which is now qualified by some inhabitants as chronic. Some inhabitants of Buea, of course, qualifying this problem as chronic, with several neighborhoods that have gone without electric energy for years, some for several months. And we also talked to the former mayor of Muyuka, NKENG Michael, and we're bringing to you two perspectives of this problem. We are analyzing the situation, we are looking at the consequences, and we are also looking at the way out, the solution to this problem. Now we bring into you the perspective of the member of Cameroon's Upper House of Parliament, Senator MBELLA. We had a conversation with him on this issue. Senator MBELLA, thank you so much for accepting to talk to Equinoxe.
It's a pleasure having me in your program on this day, and let me extend to you the areas of what I consider a very main issue.
How is the socio-political climate of Buea today?
Well, Buea is calm. There are a lot of expectations after the elections. People are looking up to the head of states to come forward with decisions that are going to align with the results of the elections and the feelings of Cameroonians, by way of coming out with a new government, addressing those teething problems that were highlighted during the elections, and of course allow Cameroonians to feel satisfied and comfortable under his leadership, and also avoid this climate of fear, suspicion, intimidation, and of course the wanton misuse of power entrusted to some of his collaborators and officials on the ground.
You've seen some Cameroonians on the streets in different parts of the southwest region, in Mutengene, here in Buea, in different parts of the town of Buea, protesting over inadequate electric energy supply. What's your reading of this situation?
Well, it is very unfortunate that in this century, Cameroonians will have to protest before their demands are met. In this case, I'm talking about the power outages and the attitude of the electricity company, NKENG, which has fallen short of the expectations of the majority of Cameroonians. First, let me remind you, I used to be a worker of Sonel and moved out to be a worker of AES that took over from Sonel, which is today NKENG. I am still a worker because I left on leave of absence, which you people call miss and disponibility. And so I have an insight on what is happening. And I can say that the citizenry is not happy with the services of NKENG at all. And they have failed in their mission, the mission of providing electricity to the average citizen of this country and in our various communities. And so the case of Boya is so peculiar in the sense that vast communities in Boya are going without electricity, some for years, some for months, some for weeks, and so on and so forth. I have witnessed that, I've lived through it, and it is a disgrace.
Mr. Senator, how can we understand, help us to understand this issue? The town of Boya is one of the major urban centers of Cameroon. And when we see neighborhoods in Boya going without electricity for years, for several months, how can we understand it?
So much has eluded the people of Boya over time in terms of service delivery. But this issue of electricity supply has become one that is a huge worry. The paralysis of a new in Boya is questionable. You move around town, you see falling poles here and there. We even registered a case where an abandoned electricity pole fell on a young toddler and killed him. The apologies from NKENG were not enough to address the pain of that family. We are today in a festive period. As you said, it's a very strategic town in this country, former capital of German Cameroon, former capital of Southern Cameroon, former capital town of the Southwest province, and today the capital town of the Southwest region, littered with educational institutions from nursery level to university level, higher institutions are littered all over, which makes the demand for electricity very high in Boya. You should also know that Boya has become a hub for many of our compatriots who were escaping dangerous zones and crisis situations in their respective localities. All of such is the composition of Boya today, with an upsurge in the population. Why would someone in his right senses ignore the provision of this basic necessity, electricity supply? It is shameful that NKENG comes in today to provide transformers only after people have gone to the streets. After, I want to kind of appreciate the public administration who watched and respected the rights of these communities who were demonstrating by allowing them express their anger in a peaceful way with justified reasons for their coming out. It is, in fact, a pain that is on every citizen of this town. There is no area of where that you will go where you will not hear people complaining about the lacuna, the failure of constant, of the provision of constant electricity in their communities. And so, while we may appreciate what measures have been taken, I'm saying that that is not enough. There are no guarantees that in a few days' time, you are not still going back to what the problem is. The Babylon, mind you, as I told you, I have worked with the electricity corporation. The mistake they made is that they closed down the training center in Ombe. The training center in Ombe had the entire network of electricity supplies in the country under their watchful eye. They trained technicians, trained everybody who oversaw the provision of power to the population. Today, you have everyone who comes out in the name of an electrician. You know, there are fraudsters today who pose as a new workers. They tap from the lines of a new, what you call illegal connections. So a transformer that had a certain rating meant for a particular area for a specific load capacity is forced to absorb even double or triple the load that was meant for that transformer. Leading to explosions, breakdowns, and of course, accidents that are associated to power supplies and outages.
Mr. Senator, you live here in Boya, and you are certainly experiencing the same thing the people are experiencing as far as inadequate electric energy supply is concerned. Share with us the day-to-day experience of the people of this town of Boya.
Well, the advantage some of the areas I've had is that each time I witness such happenings, I get in touch with my colleagues, including the higher authorities of the NU, and they explain things to them as someone who understands what the network is. And time and again, we have had some positive responses. At times, some they ignore, we are neglected, and I can tell you, I have a generator that supplies power in my immediate community. I see how people troop into my compound. People make requests at midnight for the generator to be put on so that it can benefit or address their needs at some point, one point or the other. It is a sad situation, and I don't think in the 21st century we should continue like this.
How much of adverse impact the situation has on businesses, on education, children unable to study, and and even security?
You have put it rightly, sir, and I can tell you that you are very correct in your assessment of it. Businesses have collapsed, and the destruction of public property is enormous. You can see that even lives are lost. Corpses are, in fact, decay in the mortuaries because of lack of electricity supply, and a lot of damage is done. When we were in Sonel, if you had a blown up equipment because of power outages, Sonel came and made an assessment of the damage and compensated you. Today, that is no longer available. I can say that the decision of government to buy the larger shares of the power distribution company should be lauded, and government should do it faster before it generates to what can become a social problem that it cannot handle. As I said, the impact, the damage, the costs, and of course, the pain that is associated to all these misdeeds and mishaps is too much for our populations. Populations that have gone through enormous suffering, high degrees of mishaps within moments like this do not deserve what is happening from the energy sector in this country. I will say that it is not only electricity, but it also concerns the water supply systems in our country, where today, in the 21st century, Cameroonians are relying on boreholes everywhere, and nobody is bothered about it, without regard for the damage that is done on human lives and, of course, inconveniences. Our students cannot read because of lights. They cannot study properly because there is lack of water. The communities don't have water supply systems that can serve everybody, even those who are unable to have access to these boreholes. I think that the failure is too much and it requires an urgent response.
When you see the way the people spontaneously took to the streets in different parts of the town, protesting over this issue, what do you read in that action of the people no longer staying in their homes to complain within their homes, within the walls of their houses, but taking their complaints to the streets?
Well, in a people-centered administration, no one can be silent in the face of such challenges. I think that the people are tired, they've been patient enough, they have tolerated enough, and they see no end in sight. The only way they could go, or what they were left with, was to express themselves through the streets. I can tell you I stayed on the streets of Goya for 4 hours on one spot in the car around Bondoma because the roads were blocked by these protesters. And I really wanted to witness it, have a feel of it, so that I can provide an eyewitness account to what I saw. These were an angry lot of people from all the corners of Goya. It happened in Bondoma, it happened in Great Support, it happened in Sandpit, it happened in Moya, happened along the Bomaka stretch of road, it happened in Lower Bokova, and in fact, the entire town erupted in order to have a quick response. That response is slowly coming, but that is not a guarantee that the solution is at hand. My hope is that with the announcement of government takeover of the electricity sector, I sit in the Senate with 2 former general managers of Sonel who did very well, discharged their duties with credibility, and of course, it is time they are consulted to see how we can restore the confidence that Cameroonians enjoy in the electricity corporation. That should be restored today in the new format that government wants to come in. The suffering is too much, sir, and the damage is enormous.
Right. When we look at the fact that the Southwest region is one of the 2 English-speaking regions affected by a socio-political crisis, a security problem, and in the midst of this crisis, this protest is coming up. What are the risks involved in having people taken to the streets over electricity in the midst of another crisis, which could lead to an escalation?
Well, decision makers in our country must learn to proact instead of react. What is happening should be an eye-opener, and we should not allow it to explode. I was happy this morning, a resident of Lower Bokova and a bit of the area called to inform me that the divisional officer has assured him that a transformer has been assigned to their locality as well. You know, this is how we have to work. I'm sure these elites have to take the information to its population and tell them that you are the solution to your problem is on the way. In fact, it is a situation that has to be handled with care. In this instance, we have not seen people threatened, people caught and locked up arbitrarily, or people treated like criminals because they express themselves genuinely and rightly in a proper manner. I think that we have to commend the authorities for that, and I would imagine that it was a call to action, and that action should be coming soonest than later. I agree with you that Cameroonians of the northwest and southwest regions have experienced a lot of pain and are still going through a lot of challenges associated to socio-political problems in our country.
You were a former mayor of Boya, and in your time as the mayor of Boya and even your predecessor, we didn't hear much about all of these too many problems in the town of Boya. What's happening?
Well, that is a very tricky one, but I will attempt. First of all, you should understand how I became mayor of Boya. I was chosen by the people. I was not chosen by the party. In my campaigns, I went to every locality of the community to put forth my program for the mayor's office. I asked the communities to vote their councillors. They did so, and we constituted a list from the people. Not today where lists are drawn up in the parlors and bedrooms of individuals and thrown out for the militants and the population to swallow. No. And so, after all of that selection, that which constituted the selection process, I knew that I enjoyed the mandate of the people and the confidence which the people entrusted upon me. What did I do then in managing the town? Time and again, I reached out to the people. We started the town hall meetings for local councils in the whole of Cameroon. We started it in Boya. I copied it when we had a meeting with the mayor of Seattle in the United States of America, and in a presentation I listened to in the US Congress. So when I came back here, I implemented it. Let me again remind you that a good mayor must, I say must, share with the population in their joys and in their sorrows. So that warranted me to bring a very, very transparent, participatory approach to the management of the community, wherein I appeal to non-governmental organizations and common initiative groups to align themselves with a synergy that brought together quarter heads, traditional authorities, elites, and of course, we brought in most of those people who served before. Let me again remind you, in the West Cameroon days, the culture of decentralization was embedded in the public management system of our communities, where decentralization was a reality, not a fabrication. In that way, former President Amadou Ahidjo visited Boya and saw the way local councils were running participatorily, and local communities were given a big role to play in the management and the decision-making process of their communities. That is how he created the local government training center and located it in Boya for the rest of the country to come and study local governance in Boya. So that was in my mind. And if you ask former directors of CEFAM, I went to CEFAM on many occasions to draw inspirations on what local government had to be. I brought in the staff of CEFAM to train the council workers. NGOs came in. University of Boya was a very significant segment of our community. Their lecturers and vice chancellors will come to the council and address the workers. We organized town hall meetings. I, the mayor, withdrew and allow a respected public figure. Let me give you an example. The distinguished Professor Jevakofele Kale used to be a frontline member of the SGF. We chose him to chair a town hall meeting for a CPDM run council. It allowed for free speech, free expression, and no element of intimidation from the authority of the council. Today I see what is going on. It is a violation of these basic principles of local government authority. And I think that we need to correct this before it gets too late. You can see the decay of our towns, the deplorable state of our towns, and the outcries from community members on the poor management of our local communities. This is not correct. We still have time to make amends and effect corrections. If we have to enjoy the services of well-constituted local councils, we must stop the idea of imposing authorities. Ebolowa just gave us a very good lesson where they outrightly rejected the imposition of the regional council authority. That is a huge lesson that has to be copied, and that has to produce the desired results where leaders will be held accountable, that the population will have a say, the population that will know or will take ownership of their own affairs through the supervision of their elected officials.
That was Senator MBELLA MOKI Charles analyzing the situation and suggesting a way out of the problem of inadequate electric energy supply in the southwest regional capital, other parts of the region, and even across the board, across the nation. Now, before we bring to you the analysis of the former mayor of Muyuka, NKENG Michael, let's go to the newsstands, and we are bringing to you what the newspapers reported this week. This is the press review. The Guardian Post, The Horizon, and Cameroon Insider report effort to revive and modernize the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC, badly affected by the close to a decade-long armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. 51.8 billion francs CAV has been made available to revamp the CDC. The Voice, at installation of Akumfon, His Royal Majesty Eugene Gwashi I, Dr. Chi Asafo urges traditional rulers to reject xenophobia and embrace diversity. According to the paper, the event was highlighted by a moving reflection from Dr. Chi Asafo Cornelius, Secretary General of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. The prominent Santa elite, Dr. Chi Asafo, used the occasion to challenge the new traditional ruler and the community to embrace a modern, inclusive, and written era of governance. Cameroon Tribune edifies its readers on the repartition of the 2026 8,816.4 billion francs state budget between different state institutions. Profiles International reports that the Director General of the Port Authority of Douala, Cyrus Ngo, is driving Cameroon's maritime gateway towards global standards. It also highlights what it qualifies as the Maureen's powerful female leadership of the Douala chapter of the Cameroon English-speaking Journalists Association, CAMASERJ. Let's take interviews of the week right now, and we'll be back in some few minutes.
What we only need is the basic necessity, like our children cannot read and there's end of year examination coming. How will they proceed with the examination? Yes. Insecurity is on the rise. Business activity is grounded. Yes. Where is the emergence by 2035? Yes. Where is the sentiment of hope?
It is through this land that we live. We are having our children that has been driven away from school. There are some of our mothers, they do foolery, they do Yahoo, go Sam, Alaska, you go store. Where are you sending those people to?
Women were here, all of them, sitting at the roadside until the Dio of Tigo came up here to come and play with them. They could not hear because they have been having the feelings for their children. Many are doing business with light. Since there's no light, they cannot do anything. They cannot pay their bills. They cannot cope up, and there is insecurity. So they are crying for the government to see into it. And that is why actually, as of now, that we are talking here, the SDO of FACO have been here. So he has come, he has promised them to go home peacefully, that on Tuesday there will be light.
For the past 6 months, we have not been having light. We have suffered a lot. If you see us on the streets, it's because we are in anger. It is too much. We are children, they cannot read. My child, who is going to school, has to leave the house to go somewhere to go and look for light to read. In order to write, it is too much. If there is no light, we are not going anywhere. We are here.
We need lights. All the motor are different, no pass. Until we get that light before they pass. We have been suffering here for almost 2 years today without lights. But it's just that we have to take this decision whether the people or the government can react to see that we have light in our own town. We cannot be suffering like this. We have children that are going to school. They need to reach under the lights.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Now we're bringing to you the perspective, the analysis of the problem of inadequate electric energy supply in the southwest regional capital, Buea, and other parts of the region and even the nation as a whole, of the former mayor of Muyuka, NKENG Michael.
Thank you so much for receiving us here in the premises of Chariot Hotel in the Buea. And thank you for accepting to have this conversation with us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Babila, for also coming here, despite your tight schedule for this day on the 26th of December, which is popularly known in then West Cameroon as Boxing Day. So you might have been somewhere now enjoying yourself, but you take upon yourselves to visit us on this occasion so that we can have a chat. Thank you very much.
Right, you're the Chief Executive Officer of Chariot Company Limited, which has different services, which offers different services, among which is the leisure services with the Chariot Hotel where we are now. How was business here with the unstable security situation, and added to that that is added to the Anglophone crisis, which is an existing problem here for over 10 years now, the post-election conflict?
Thank you, Mr. Babila. It has always been a challenge since the advent of the Anglophone crisis that started on in September 2016. We have been struggling to meet up with our budgetary allocations to no avail. However, it got to a time when it's like we're all used to the situation, and it was improving. The security situation was improving until this year with the elections. There was a ghost town, which I myself had never experienced it. It was really effective. From the 15th of August till the proclamation of the results, they combined it with going back to school, and so a bunch of mix-up that really paralyzed us. Again, as I said, we have been used to, but as of now, this period, there are some improvement in the sense that at least there are days that we have 1, 2, 3, 5 persons. There are marriages, there are certain ceremonies where people come and they lodge. And so we just hope that it will continue along this line until we don't know when. But I strongly believe, I'm very optimistic in life that things will be better in the future, if not now.
1, 2, 3, 5 persons a day in a big hotel establishment,
Sure.
Chariot Hotel, it seems to be quite insignificant.
Of course it is, because now I remove money from my pocket to pay the staff, to pay the bills, electricity, taxes, and everything. That is what has been going on. In as much as we were thinking that government would consider, as the Prime Minister said, is a zone, a territory where activities are not taking places.
Was identified by the
Prime Minister, yeah,
the Northwest
and the Southwest,
as economically stricken areas.
Yes, so we're hoping that they will alleviate us with some taxes, but that seems not to be the case. But we have been going along, and as the days goes by, we keep counting on the Almighty to help us resolve the present crisis, to enable business function well.
And the other services offered by Chariot Company Limited,
construction.
They also affected construction.
During that period of the crisis, we don't work, but you keep paying the workers. So at the end of the day, your balance sheet will never be balanced, because there were 2 months where you paid people without working. So it equally affects us. And during that period, you don't even, if you want to buy something, if you can manage to sneak yourself to Douala, coming back is a little bit challenging and difficult. So all in all, it's not a favorable environment to do business if the climate is hostile, as has always been the case during that period, especially this year between August 15 and October, during the proclamation of the result to the 2nd. So for the quarry, we are there struggling, ups and downs, financial input. Sometimes we don't have the means because of the situation in Cameroon, where you take a loan, you are paying up to the tune of 18%. Nobody will want to do business to go and get a loan where you do what is small profit you have, you pay back to the banks, and soon you fall up and file for bankruptcies. That is the situation where we find ourselves with the quarry industry. But however, as I said, we are holding firmly, and we don't have a choice but to try to ensure that we move along as the day goes by.
Right, just a little bracket on the financial, or in the financial perspective, on the issue of high interest rates, as far as access to financing, access to loans, the level of banking institutions is concerned. That seems to be a serious hindrance, especially affecting low, small and medium sized.
Of course, it's a serious hindrance in Cameroon. I don't know why the policy makers don't want to look into this issue of loans and their interest. If you go to develop well, businesses take loans for 5%, 4%, up to, only if you take a loan for 6%, a business loan, they say that is too high. But here, up to the extent of 18%, 20%, 15%, when they give you 13%, it's that is manners from heaven. But again, imagine that you are taking a loan of 100 million and you are supposed to pay how much? 1.3 million. No, you are supposed to pay 13 million in a year as interest. Then you add VAT on it. So you are talking about, you are talking about 16, 17 million. I mean, if you take a loan of 100 million to do a business, and then at the end of the year, you are paying 17 million to the financial institution that give you that loan. What are you making yourself as profit? It means you are working for them, they are not doing business. But that's the reality on the ground. And that is a cry which the lawmakers, the policy makers are supposed to take into consideration. to see how they can adjust the monetary policies that will favor lenders in the Central African zone. For the security issues, it's strictly government. For security issues, monetary policy to give a cap on the interest rate, again, is lawmakers.
Another big challenge as far as business, life in general is concerned in Cameroon is inadequate electric energy supply.
Yes.
And this is a problem that is provoking social tensions all over the place.
Yes.
In the major cities, in the hinterlands, there are areas that have not had electricity for so many years. There are even areas that have never had electricity at all. And of recent, we had protests in different parts of the southwest region of capital, Boya, in Mutengene, blocking inhabitants, blocking traffic, blocking circulation or movement of vehicles and persons between Boya and Kumba over this problem of electricity. What is your understanding of this problem?
Electricity is, we talk about energy, and you cannot talk about any development without mentioning energy, because energy is the main source which enables production. Production, you talk about industrialization. The government come out with a policy of producing electricity. That's why you have dams like Lompangam, Lagdo, Mbele, Natigal, Mekim. Government borrowed huge money to invest in producing the energy. Now, having said that, you know, when you produce the energy, you need to transport the energy to the consumers. That sector, which you have the regulatory organ also, has been, might be one of the factors which has slowed down the energy from getting to the consumers. Now, when the energy is transported through power lines and is supposed to be distributed by the energy company, the issue which you mentioned about people going to the street is at the level of distribution to the various customers. And this has been a major problem because it's either deliberate, because for the energy to be stepped down, you need transformers, you need poles, you need low voltage lines. That is supposed to be produced by the distributing company, which is NKENG. What do we find? We find a situation where in a quarter you have a transformer which is 100 kVA, but it is overloaded with 200 kVA consumption. How do you balance that? And remember that that is a sector where nobody has access to other than the employees of NKENG. So there is a type of, I would like to call it sabotage, whereby the generator, they cannot even supply enough transformers for the consumers. And so there are quarters that have been for 1 year, 6 months without electricity. Now, the good thing is everybody is involved. Whether from the presidency to the last man in which village, how can I call it? They need electricity. So when we don't have electricity, everybody is involved. They do everything to ensure that those people should have electricity, because it's the electricity that powers your refrigerator. You use it in doing ironing your dresses. They use it in cooking. They use it in doing laundry. They use it in studying. Most homes, students study using electricity. And so if there's a lack of that electricity, you know what it becomes of. So I don't know whoever came out with the idea of going to the street. Might be the they saw it as the only alternative of informing the power that be that we are suffering. And so, and since it involved everybody, the military, the police, the gendarme, they are all in the same situation. And I've seen these days, transformer being installed in almost every quarter. It's a welcome idea. But I don't think they should wait for other divisions, other regions, people to be going to the street before they do that installation. They should do it in all the villages in Cameroon. And once it is installed, let those who are concerned should be monitoring, because it is the very workers of those distribution companies that will go and overload those transformers. And soon, they put a transformer, within 1 year, boom, it blows off. People don't have light. It takes 6 months to replace those transformers. That's not supposed to be the case. Once they know the output, the input of a certain quarter, if you need light, they either increase the output, which is the transformer, or, I mean, they inform you. And that's why I say in a developed way, before you build a house, before you have a permit to build, they have done other evaluation, water, electricity, to ensure that as you are putting in a building, you will not affect the other consumers. So that is exactly the situation where you find people going to the streets to protest.
We see people coming out from Moliko, from Sanpit, Lower Bokova, and they're just everywhere. It looks like the whole town is...
I don't know whoever did that mobilization. It was strange even to me, myself. I wanted to go out.
The problem is just everywhere.
It's chronic. No, it is. It's chronic. It's chronic. I mean, even to us here with generators, we've destroyed most of our electronic appliances. Because the power comes today, the next day the power goes up. Next day you have a one phase, you have a two phase for a three phase power generating supply. And then it goes off and it comes back without any signal. I mean, we are going through crisis as far as electricity is concerned. I will not tell you a lie, Mr. Babla. It is very, very serious. And so if what they are doing, what the population of Mutengene and Buya are doing, if that is what will help the situation, that's fine. But I don't believe that it's a solution. The power that be should wake up and envisage doing something that will be long-lasting to avoid the situation I saw on the 24th of December. So that is my plea and that is my cry, that we should not wait for the situation to deteriorate before we start looking for solutions. I mean, one of the proposals I thought was, hey, why can they not transfer this competence of providing transformers to the various population to the mayors? They are on the ground. They know better than any other person. Yeah, I mean, it's just a suggestion. We need somebody to be on the ground to monitor what is going on, to ensure that the population have constant energy supply.
Right, and we've also heard proposals of transferring even the production of energy to local councils, where small dams can be constructed in communities that can supply some sections.
I'll give you an example, the Yoke Dam. You remember we had the Yoke Dam, and the Yoke Dam is still there. It's not been run today. I don't know why. When I was mayor, there was a time where I saw some guys who came from Yaoundé that they wanted to exploit the dam. And I said, hey, that's a very good idea. Because we have two. We have the Pondo Dam, we have the Yoke Dam, we have one also at Baye. That was supposed to supply Bafia, Ekata, Muyenge. Everything had been done, power transmission line, everything, even installed meters. But I don't know what happened with that project. So local dams might be one of the best solutions to alleviate this situation of lack of power in various homes.
And what seems to be difficult to understand is why the authorities will wait for people to take to the streets.
That's why I've said
before they start installing transformers here.
That's why I just told you that I cannot myself understand what is going on. I don't really understand. Government we borrowed a lot of money to produce to build those dams so that they can produce power that will be transmitted for local consumption. We spent a lot of money, and we have started paying back the money. So when people don't have the light to consume, how would they pay the bills that will be used to reimburse this debt? I remember that the goal was to produce enough energy for local consumption and an excess to be exported to generate some income for a balance of trade. So if what has been produced is not even enough for local consumption, which I don't know, then how do we repay back the loan? I don't know. So the earlier we put every mechanism to ensure enough generation of that power, which will be for locals and exported, the better.
When we look at what has been happening these past days, with people hitting the streets to demand for electric energy supply, some analysts perceive in that a kind of failure on the part of the administration, in that the people think that if they don't take to the streets, if they only speak maybe from their homes, or if they don't speak at all, nobody will come to rescue them. It looks like the people no longer believe in their leaders.
Yeah, the buck stops with the government as far as energy is concerned. So they might be perceived to be either right or wrong on those assumptions. But again, on speaking, the consumer is there already waiting to consume. It doesn't bother him whether the supply is from Mars or from heaven or from the sun. That is not his problem. His problem is that he wants the bulbs to be lighted, he wants the fridge to be powered, he wants his air conditioner to be powered, and if that is not done, you go to Sonel, they will not give you. I mean, you go to Enu, nobody cares about you, nobody says anything, and so if you see them going to the street, they had tried so many avenues, and they thought that going to the street was the last option. And I might agree with them, because since they went to the street, you see a new running up and down, installing those transformers everywhere. So why did I have to wait for people to go to the street? That is where I have a concern. We shouldn't always wait for people to go to the street in order to meet up with their demands. These things should be, we should be ready for them, we should prepare for them, and we should always walk a step ahead of consumers.
We'll wrap up here, but before we go, let's have your take on the socio-political climate of the country with the presidential election that has come and gone. And even though it's not yet gone for many, who are still fighting for what they have termed the truth of the ballot box.
Mr. Babla, we are all Cameroonians. 99% of Cameroonians don't have a place to go if Cameroon is not existing. And so it's to our advantage to ensure that the country exists. And when the country exists, it must be governed. Our cry is for those who are governing the country to ensure that there's some degree of good governance to benefit the small man in Gokutunja, to benefit the small man in Chendungotet, to benefit the small man in a village in the Oku, to benefit the small man in the village in Marwa, in Garwa. That's the essence of governance. The elections came, the elections results as proclaimed by the competent institution was read, and there was some degree of disturbance which was quelled down, but now everybody is waiting. the results were proclaimed on, I think on the 22nd of October. This is 2 months. Nobody knows what is going on. Nobody is there. Even the communication boss is not telling us what is going on. We are all lost. Government has not been created. Everybody is lost. I mean, if at the level of Yaoundé, nobody is telling us anything, what do you think we are doing at the level of the region and in the village? Speculation. The social media is there, coming up with various stories. I mean, nobody knows what is truthful or what is a lie again. The only person who can debunk it is the government. Now, why is the government silent? I don't know. I mean, if there are any things going on which is not, let the government inform the population, because the buck stops with the population. The government is there because of the population. We elected the officials that they should intend to serve us. If they are not serving us, who are they serving? So my prayer is let they come up with a government and let everything goes back to normal. If at all it will, but I hope that it will, so that life can come back, especially to the northwest, the southwest, and the extreme north, including Eastern Province, where the insurgency has been reigning.
The East region.
Yeah, has been reigning for quite a while. You know, it has affected even the economy of the country, because most of the time you see the military men moving up and down, left to right. They are not moving on their legs. They are moving with vehicles. Government is forced to buy ammunition. Government is forced to fuel in those vehicles and feeding them. It has a toll on the financial resources of the country. So my plea again is Cameroonians should sit down at a round table and come out with adequate solutions that would satisfy a majority of the people. And one of those solutions had been decentralization. When they started, after the come together, was it in 2019, we thought that the decentralization process has begun and we will be moving forward. But that seems not to be the case. So I don't know. I don't know why those who are up there, how do they feel when they see mothers, old mothers, marching in Boya, marching in Butengene, that they don't have energy? How do they feel? I mean, those old mothers, they went to the pool to vote for you. And when you turn around on the television and you see them, what do you say? How do you feel? That is the issue. And when you see some of us crying, we are not crying because we don't have food to eat. We are crying because our neighbors don't have food to eat. Our neighbors don't have shelters. They don't have water, they don't have electricity. Their children are not going to school. Who can provide them those services other than the government? And so we should take up our responsibilities and ensure that this country is moving once more as it used to be.
Right, the municipal and legislative elections will be coming up next year, early next year. You're the former mayor of Muyuka. Are you thinking of coming back to the leadership of your community?
Well, if the people want me, I don't have a choice to save them. You know, as a politician, you don't say never. And so it all depends on the climate. If it's conducive, why not go in again to serve the people? But again, if it is what it is, hey, I have another opportunity which I'm pursuing. I'm a businessman, and I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I'm happy with my businesses. I'm happy with what God has given me, my kids, my children, my wife, my family. I'm happy. And so if the opportunity comes for me to go and serve them again, I will happily do that without any fear or favor. I have one person who is always in front of me on whatever thing I do. Either I call that person my ancestors or I call that person God. I always rely on him to take me to wherever I want to go, to lead me to wherever I want to go, to make me to be who I am, to be humble, to be honest, to be hardworking, and to provide for my family. Other than that, the rest, we leave it in the hands of God.
Do you think that you did well during your tenure of office, that the people want you to come back?
I can sit here and guarantee you that I was one of the mayors who left office with 135 million in the coffers of the next regime. You pass in Muyuka today, I will cite to you my achievement. You pass there, you see the grandstand, you see the second council building, you see the council restaurant, you see the old council building, you see the mortuary. That's for the council itself. You go to culverts, you see water, you see roads, you see women empowerment building, you see the dispensaries, you see electrification. What can I not enumerate here that was under my reign? And so I don't just take it lightly to start contemplating whether I might go back if I did not meet up with, I did not satisfy my people. Remember that there are those to vote for you. And so if you are elected, you have in front of you the task of ensuring that your population improves on their living conditions. What is difficult in that, I don't know. So I can stand here and I guarantee you that you are a journalist. Go to Muyuka, make a box stop, talk to the people, find out what I did, NKENG Michael, and they will tell you. I cannot sit here and be hitting my chest, but you go to meet the population and they will tell you my achievements of my 6 or 7 years of reign in Muyuka. My plan is, for me, when I go back to Muyuka, I must start tarring the Muyuka-Muyenge stretch of roads. If it means using cement, no. My first mandate, I must tar at least 25 to 50% of the roads. That is my first mandate. And whoever is taking over, that road is a priority.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for the insight you've shared with us today.
You are welcome, Mr. Babla. It has always been a pleasure of sitting down to have this chat. I think your station has been one of the leading force as far as the democratization of Cameroon is concerned. And I want to thank the management of Equinoxe to tell them to keep on what they have been doing, and that without fear or favor, they should just be reporting on what is true and true without any deviation. Thank you.
And that's it for today's edition of The Insight. Thank you for staying with us. God bless Cameroon. God bless Africa. Goodbye.